Video concerns the messaging and clinical guidelines. This is the first view that's open when you open Compass. On the left are the messages you received since you last logged in. On the right are clinical guidelines that are default to the anticoagulation guidelines, but can also show other guidelines if they've been added to the system. Let's first talk about messaging. Messages within Compass fall into two categories. One are internal Compass messages. So these are messages from one user to the next, or they may be messages from the software in the system to administration, or they may be messages from patients to their coagulation clinics. In this case, we're seeing a message that was received from a patient, ZZZ Taz David, which was an SMS message that the patient sent to the clinic. If we click on that, we're going to see the patient's message, which says, I am having frequent bloody noses, even though my INR is only 3.1. Should I come to the clinic? So this is a non-urgent, appropriate message from the patient's cell phone to the clinic, and it may be answered by any of the clinic providers. We have several options. At the top, we can put it on hold, and we can forward it to somebody else. We can open the chart to see more detail about the patient, or we can simply reply to the patient by SMS. In this case, we're going to reply to the patient, and we're going to say, come to the clinic later this afternoon. So we have a choice. Our language and the patient's language. These can be anything. In this case, we're going to have English to English translation or non-translation, and we're going to say, please come to the clinic later this afternoon, and we will take care of it. And so then we send that to the patient, and the patient will then receive that on their cell phone, and that's all there is to it. Now you notice that the messages disappear from this view because it's red. If we click the sent navigator view, we're going to see we should see a list. We're not seeing that because it ends up being a test patient. One of the things about messages is that messages always are directed to a specific name. In this case, we're seeing these unread messages in this view because the user, me, is set up to receive messages to Chuck. And that is the default in Compass. So whenever you're in a clinic, and you're a user that's set up for one clinic, you will always have, as a default, you will be seeing messages that are directed to that clinic. That allows various nurses and other providers to share messages to the clinic that are being sent in from a variety of patients. But I could add other things. In this case, let's say I wanted to, in addition to Chuck, I wanted to see messages from one of the other hospitals, or I wanted to see administration messages, then if I change my identity settings, I'll see a variety of different messages. These are messages being sent from Compass to administration. And these are basically critical messages. So most likely somebody within the clinic or one or two people will be assigned an administrative role, and they'll be looking at these messages. And some of these are canceled reminders. For instance, this is a number being used by more than one patient at a time. This is a number where a patient contacted us, but the number that they contacted us with was not a valid number, and the patient's therefore needs registration. So these are messages that were sent by the system to administration to fix errors and anomalies that have occurred. Most users will not be admin users, and in which case they will see only messages related to their specific clinic. Messages can be placed on hold if you're not sure what to do with them. And then can be addressed by perhaps another user at another time. So let's talk about clinical guidelines. This is an anticoagulation program, and the most important guideline in Rwanda are the official NCD management guidelines for anticoagulation in terms of anticoagulation. So if you click that, you'll see this is a PDF document. And if you click that link, you'll see the official NCD guidelines for anticoagulation in Rwanda. So this will always default to be available on the front page of Compass. In addition to that, there may be other guidelines that that the user hasn't yet seen that may be new. For instance, if you click on All Guides in English, there are actually two others. One of them is management of diabetes. Another one is a document related to strategies dealing with congestive heart failure. These guidelines or informational pages are there just for education purposes. If a user hasn't read one of these, so if there is a new guideline placed in the system that the user hasn't yet seen, it will show up in this unread view. In this case, we've seen all of those. And so system will default to the anticoagulation guidelines. Now, they're all guides in English. There are other guides and in various languages, but they're not yet complete. So if your preferred language is Kinyarwanda, as an example, and we change language to Kinyarwanda, then you see that there are both guidelines for diabetes and the CHF handout, but there are no anticoagulation guidelines at Kinyarwanda. So as time goes on, I think that all the guidelines will be eventually translated and will be then posted here so that they can be read in your most comfortable language.